Hi, this is Mike Bonfrisco, and welcome to this episode of 2 Minutes with Mike. On today's installment, I'm going to be talking about a client of mine who recently passed away, Bob. And Bob had an interesting life, and he was a great guy. I got to know him quite a bit while he was living. He even introduced me to his daughter, Sarah, who was the executor of his will. And after Bob passed away recently, I had an opportunity to sit down with Sarah and go over all of his accounts and help her organize the estate. The trouble was that Bob believed that having a lot of different banks and institutions was a good way to be diversified. We even found some notes in his files that indicated that he thought he was spreading out his risk and protecting his assets from risk and protecting his family. The truth is that's not the case, and what happened was at the end of the day we found that Bob had done banking with 4 or 5 different local banks and a bunch of other different institutions, and after all was said and done he had 18 different banks and institutions, and he didn't really have any diversification because he really owned the same type of stuff in all these different institutions. And so this is a common mistake that I see. Folks sometimes think that by spreading out their money over different banks that they're going to help themselves, but really they're just setting their family up for a lot of work after the fact. It took me and Sarah over a year to sort out all the banks and institutions, to consolidate all the money, to make sure that everything was taken care of. Because we had to make phone calls, and we had to send her into some banks, and we had to write letters and faxes and emails, and they had to get back to us. And nowadays with all the consumer fraud and the computer fraud, banks are very cautious, so it's taking longer and longer. Before you think that having 18 different bank accounts is a good idea, you really want to sit down and talk to someone, a professional, about how to consolidate that and organize it in a better way. I do that all the time with our clients. And we have found that after the fact, their family is much happier that they've organized and planned their estate for their family and loved ones. Okay, so thanks for joining me for this episode, and stay tuned for our next installment of 2 Minutes with Mike.